from the director of not only Truth or Dare, but also Fantasy Island. Yeah. So Imaginary is a new horror film that follows a family that moves into their stepmother's childhood home, and when the youngest daughter discovers a teddy bear, she also forms a imaginary friend, and it turns out this imaginary friend, let's just say guys, that this imaginary friend is not particularly a good friend. Alrighty guys, so let's get into Imaginary.
Excellent!
The core concept of Imaginary had a lot of potential for what could have been actually really cool.
Well, that's just fucking great!
But good execution is a different ball game. And did Imaginary have good execution? Fuck no! I could start with the performances because all of the performances in this movie are terrible. I mean, wow. Breathe, Austin, breathe. Every single performance in this movie is so bad. Like, it is such bad performance in this movie. The stepmother is bad. The teenage daughter, who, by the way, is an absolute bitch in this movie. The young girl is terrible. Even Betty Buckley, yes, legendary Betty Buckley is in this movie, and she is literally just there for the purposes, by the way, of exposition. And I got to a point with Betty Buckley, I was just going like, just kill her, please. And worst of it all is that I did not care about a single character in this movie. I do want to apologize if I seem very discombobulated throughout filming or just throughout this video, period. And I am just frankly baffled by what I saw a couple of days ago. The teenage angsty daughter, you know, the older daughter, she was such a complete bitch. I could not stand her in this movie at all. And she does things in this movie, and then she contradicts what she does, only to go back in her ways. Like, this movie has so many contradictions in terms of what the screenwriter is doing, and then of what the storytelling is attempting to do. There are times where it attempts to go one place, only for it to go like, no, just kidding, we're actually going to go in this direction instead. I am legitimately shocked that this script got greenlit to be filmed. While the script does have a solid core concept, it does do something with that concept, but it's nothing but exposition and some quote-unquote scares, which I'll get into later on. And even some of the dialogue is just god fucking awful. Jeff Wadlow has directed some movies in his past. Now, admittedly, I will say this. I enjoy Kick-Ass 2. Kick-Ass 2 isn't particularly a great film. It's a movie that doesn't even come close to how awesome the first Kick-Ass is. But Kick-Ass 2 definitely has a lot of fun moments. It has some great characters and has some very, very funny moments. Kick-Ass 2 I actually found to be kind of underrated. But Fantasy Island and Truth or Dare are just so terrible. The idea of this movie is there. It is absolutely clear that Jeff Wadlow had the idea for this movie, but his execution and getting that overall tone and storytelling down just completely misses the mark on every single level. And if I'm not mistaken, by the way, for his third horror film, oh god, 3 for 3. 3 misses. Man. Can I also talk about how dull and how boring this movie is? I mean, oh my god. For a movie that's about, I think it's like an hour 45 minutes, it feels so much dreadfully longer. There were so many parts of this movie that were just so dull that I wished I was back at home playing more Fallout 3. There were actually a couple of times in this movie where I almost passed out. Like, it was just that freaking boring because, once again, this is a movie that would much rather concentrate on exposition than building up actual tension with, you know, scares. By the way, which leads me on to my next point, the scares. Is Imaginary scary?
Nope.
There was actually one scene in this movie where it does build up some genuine tension to what could have been building up to an actual scare, but as a result it builds up to just a jump scare that you see coming miles away. And that brings me to the jump scares. This movie it is filled to the brim with not only jump scares, but my favorite of them all, false alarm scares. There was a particular part in this movie where just, of course, the most obvious false alarm jump scare happened, and I was just thinking of this.
That's the best you can do!
Were they even trying to make something relatively even, freaky, creepy, scary? The movie wasn't really scary, it was more funny than anything else. There were parts that were intended to be scary, but there were just some parts of the execution just had me uncontrollably laughing. I gotta talk about the third act really quick, and should I spoil this? Should I? Nah, I'm not gonna spoil this because just in case if you guys actually do want to see this movie, which please do not waste your money. The third act of this movie completely, and I mean completely, rips off another horror film, and it's a great horror film at that. Such a bad fucking movie. This one, not that other one.
And here we go.
So overall, while Imaginary does have a solid concept, the execution of that concept misses every single mark. It's a movie that, here comes the pun, I wish had stayed imaginary. That was terrible. I'm gonna leave this. All in all, I am absolutely going to give Imaginary a 0 out of 5. Please, guys, do not go see this movie. Go see Dune Part 2 instead. Or go see Lisa Frankenstein if that's still in theaters. Either one of those two. Just not this movie. So comment down below and let me know. Have you guys seen Imaginary? Seriously, don't watch this, but if you did, what did you think of it? If you liked it, cool. If so, more power to you, but still, what did you think of Imaginary? Let me know below. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm also on Twitch. So if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links and the usernames are in the description below. I hope you enjoyed my review of Imaginary. If so, visit that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell for my latest video goes live. If you guys want to see my previous 2 videos, please click it right there or right there. And of course, until my next review or video goes live, I will see you all next time.